Fire recovery is a long-term process, and we've really focused on three key areas. One is the needs of fire survivors, everything from mental health needs to housing, emergency support, and also the needs of the land. The land is weakened and distressed and needs to be cared for. And we're also looking towards the future in preventing future fires using restorative indigenous practices to help our forests heal and survive upcoming fires.
After the fires, most people in Boulder Creek region were out of the area, 3 to 4 weeks at least before Boulder Creek was reopened. We're in that first few days of people coming back to Boulder Creek, but there really wasn't, in my opinion, much effort yet to connect with community members who had lost their homes. Part of it was just a kind of led realization that who is going to be that agency, trying to figure out what our role would be, and in being a community leader and community-led organization, I felt like this was on us. We started with a 2-day event. We had a lot of support at that time as far as different outreach for participants to research what was available to them as fire victims. Right now we're concentrating mostly on having up-to-date information for people. We do have computers, printers available for people to utilize. We do still have the showers and stuff available for folks that are still struggling with water. One thing I'm really hearing from a lot of people is just that second layer of just kind of devastation, coming back to the reality that this isn't going away. I don't just get to recover. It's going to be a new life. There's a lot of really great ideas and collaboration going on that's really unlike anything I've kind of seen before, so it's oddly connecting us all in this kind of difficult time. COVID pulled a lot of people apart, and then the fire brought us back together.
The Resource Conservation District stepped up early to help fire survivors make a plan for their land. There was an immediate need to work on erosion control, to protect the watersheds, make a plan for trees on property, and the RCD was there to help.
We're offering these site visits at no cost to landowners, and to date we've completed over 420 site assessments within the burn area. Sometimes working with individual landowners, but oftentimes working with entire neighborhoods or road associations. It's also been helpful in bringing people together and help foster that sense of community as we're recovering.
There were two major things that folks were concerned about when we went out to visit them on their properties. What is the process in rebuilding? And then they were worried about the natural resources on their properties. They were worried about the health of their trees. They were worried about water quality in the whole community from runoff that was going to be generated from burned structures on their property.
Really, it's going to take every one of us bringing our different expertise and resources to bear in looking more critically at how is the health and function of our forests and watersheds, and taking action where we can to get involved and improve those functions through things like reintroducing low intensity or good fire onto the landscape to help manage some of these fuel loads. And the Amamutsan Tribal Band have really been a leader in that effort.
The Amamutsan Land Trust is a nonprofit organization established by the Amamutsan Tribal Band to serve as a vehicle for restoring indigenous knowledge and indigenous stewardship to Mutsun and Awaswas lands. We're working in the areas of conservation and restoration, education, and indigenous stewardship. The Native Stewardship Corps is a work training and conservation program for Amamutsan Tribal Band members. They live in the Central Valley primarily, and through the Native Stewardship Corps, they are coming back to work on their ancestral lands and work to restore the practices of their ancestors. The Native Stewardship Corps was doing fuel reduction work the day that the fires hit, ironically, and they had to evacuate our program headquarters at Cascade Ranch, and the fires burned a lot of the buildings around Cascade Ranch. We lost a great deal of our tools. The Native stewards, they were out of work for 4 weeks.
We have so much to learn from the Amamutsan Land Trust. As we recover from this fire, we need to learn the indigenous practices that can keep our forests healthy into the future.
Well, California Indian people were burning the landscape regularly here in California, up and down the coast for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. There's been far less burning happening, and so the landscape is experiencing a fire deficit. These lands have evolved with regular controlled fire over thousands of years, and fire is needed on the landscape. The Amamutsan can help provide an example where stewardship through fire is necessary for keeping balance on these lands. Right now, the Native stewards are working to do fire recovery with our partners and neighbors. The Native stewards are removing burned vegetation. Partners here at Pie Ranch are looking to the Native stewards and the Amamutsan Land Trust to help guide what is next on the land. What kind of values do we want to bring back to the land in our stewardship of these places? The Community Foundation of Santa Cruz stepped in with emergency funding that allowed us to solve our emergency housing problem.
The funding from the Community Foundation has been critical. It's supported doing these individual site visits, responding to landowners as they reached out to us for help.
As a fire survivor, I've just been so encouraged by all the different agencies, the outreach, and just the collaboration going on behind the scenes.
The connection of our community to our natural resources that I think is so moving in this situation where people have been faced with such great personal loss and yet are truly concerned and committed to addressing the impacts to the natural environment. And we're so grateful to just be a part of that process.